All right, we're in my garage and we're trying to clean up some of the mess. This is my contribution to the wall of shame. I guess actually I should lean like this so that it doesn't look quite so bad. We gotta solve this problem. And this is where we're going to solve it. I have a wall here and I'm going to build me some garage storage cabinets. We're going to make them out of white melamine, and I went ahead and drew out what I wanted to do. I've taken some measurements and I want to have two tall sections here with just fixed shelves. See, I got to fix that. Anyway, I want to have it over the top of my dust collector because I want to keep my dust collector here. I'm not going to go all the way to the ceiling. I'm only going to go up 7 feet so that I have a shelf that goes all the way across the top for long things if I need it. But it is something that I've just got to do. And I'll bet every one of you have something you've got to do in your garage to clean up your wall of shame like I do. Okay, let's get started. We took our measurements. We're going to be 78 inches from the corner out. Our tall section is only going to be 50 because we're going to have a 24-inch section over the top of our dust collector. We're 7 feet high. We divided our tall section in half, and we decided to make it 15.5 inches deep for the best use of our material. I went ahead and I cut out all my pieces. I'm 15.5 inches deep. I'm 84 inches tall on my tall pieces. And on my short pieces, I listed out all my parts. These are 23.5 inches wide, or excuse me, these down here. And I've already started to band some of them. My piece over the top of my dust collector is 24 inches tall and 28 inches wide. We're gonna go ahead and finish up our iron-on edge banding. I'm all set up here with my iron. Here's my iron-on edge banding. We'll iron that on and clean it and get all our pieces ready to go. And then we're going to assemble this. Like I say, there's not going to be adjustable shelves. These are going to be fixed shelves. And I'll show you how we assemble it. And then we'll put it together on the wall and get ready to clean up our mess. Iron-on edge banding is very easy to put on. You see how I'm doing it? We just do like it says, iron it on. Make sure you get a good even heat. And then I have a J-roller. And I take my J-roller and I roll down the edges really good and tight. And just kind of knock the edges a little bit like that. There's your iron-on edge banding all ironed on. We'll go ahead and complete the rest of it. Then I'll show you how we file it and clean it up. We are now edge banding our long pieces, and I wanted to show you one little trick about ironing on edge banding on long pieces of wood. We have our side to our cabinet. Here is our edge banding. It's long. And this edge banding is this iron-on edge banding. Being as it's not real wood, it's just kind of a paper edge banding. It's kind of thin, but once it's pre-glued so that once you iron it on, it really sticks good down. Anyway, you don't want to iron a long stretch and then take your J-roller to it, because then your glue would have a chance to cool and you would lose that sticky on the edge. So we have our hot iron, we have our edge banding. And when you put your hand on your edge banding, just kind of put your fingers on both sides like this, and you can feel that you're overlapping on both sides as you go down the row here. And then just work your way down and just keep your edge banding centered over your panel. And then I only do about a third. And I go back and I make sure that I'm really good and hot and stuck down all the way down. And then I take my J-roller and I work the one piece, and then I make sure that that's stuck good. I move my J-roller and my iron down here for the next section, and I just do the same thing, working my way down on my long panel, and that way I get the very best iron-on edge because I don't try to do it all at once. And so I just do it a little bit at a time. Like I say, this is a 84-inch piece, so 7 feet, divided into thirds, and that makes a nice section to do and get a good job done. And then we just finish it off. And again, making sure that we're keeping our edge banding centered over the top of our panel. And I always hold it a little bit on the ends so it's really, really good and stuck on the ends of my panel. And then again with the J-roller to make sure it's pushed down tight. And that's how you do a long piece. As I ironed my edges on all of my shelves, you can see that I stacked them back and forth because there's a little bit of an edge on here where it lips over. The edge banding is a little bit wider than your material. That allows you to keep it centered and clear out to the edges. And so we have a little bit of an edge on there. We don't want to crush that edge. So we've stacked it back and forth. Now, this is real thin little material, and I always just take it and break it off. And then to trim it, clean it up, I just take a file. And I just file my end flat. And then this little lip, I just take my file and file my edge like that. And that's nice and clean. And then on the other side of the file, where it's a finer edge, I'll just take that and very gently break that edge so that it's nice and it just has a little bit of a round to it. There's not enough material to put a little round, to put a real round on it, but you can give it just a little break on that edge, and you turn your piece over and do the exact same thing on the other side. And this edge banding, like I say, is kind of almost a paper product. Very, very thin and easy to file like that. Turn it over to the fine edge very gently. And now our shelf is all ironed, smooth, and ready for assembly. And we'll go through now and do the whole stack and our long pieces exactly the same way. And then we'll come back and assemble. We already have the first two sections of our wall put together, but I wanted to do this so I could show you what we're doing and then show you how we're going to do it. You can see we have a toe kick down at the bottom, and our shelves are spaced, and I'll show you how we're going to space it. And we've tied our piece together with our small section that goes over top of our dust collector. You can see how that kind of creates a little space here for our dust collector. Of course, this will be eliminated, hopefully. And in fact, not hopefully. Here I go, kicking things again. Not hopefully, but we're going to get this over to this and get rid of this. So anyway, let's get started off with the assembly of our final piece, and I'll show you how it all came together. Okay, the first thing we'll do is I've created two small spacers here. These spacers will be nailed to this is the inside of the cabinet. So what I've done is opened up my cabinet like this to the inside. These pieces will be nailed to the bottom of the inside. That will create a spacer for our bottom shelf and a backstop for our toe kick. So our toe kick is going to be here. Our bottom shelf will be here. And we're going to nail these two pieces on first. We'll put the bottom shelf in. We'll nail the top shelf in, and then we'll space all of our other shelves. So just follow as I go through. We'll be nailing these bottom spacers pieces on with 1 1/4 inch 18 gauge nails. Just like that, and we'll do this one same way. We want to make sure we keep it flush with the bottom. This also does one other thing besides giving our spacing correctly. It creates a real heavy foot to the bottom of our cabinet for stability. We've nailed our bottom shelf in from our one side. You can see how this spacer creates a stop for our shelf. And then when we get ready to put our toe kick in, we lay our toe kick on top of that piece. We nail from the sides and down through the shelf and give a couple of nails from the front, and that makes a nice toe kick. Let's go ahead and nail our other side on so you can see how it comes together. We've now changed from 1¼ nails to 1½ nails. We used 1¼ because we were going through 3/4 inch piece into 3/4 inch piece, and we didn't want to come through. Now we're going to be nailing through 3/4 inch into a shelf, and so we can have the longer nails and it isn't a problem. And we'll sight down here. Now, I'm going to show you a little trick to help you make sure. Around on this side here, we're going to be shooting some additional nails. This is one of the spacer pieces that I made for my shelves, and you'll see me use that in just a minute. But this is a perfect right angle with this little cleat on the top. It creates a perfect right angle, and I just use that for a line indicator to make sure you can see my nails that I've already put in. I just draw a little line up there. And if I shoot my nails along that line, I make sure that I shoot into my shelf and that I don't have my nails coming out where they don't belong. And let's go ahead and finish up. Now, always when I do my assembly, I use 1½ 18 gauge nails to get started to make sure that I'm lined up where I properly want to be lined up. Now that I have my 18 gauge brad nails in, I come back with my wide crown stapler. I'm shooting an 1¾ inch, 1/2 inch wide crown staple. You can see those large crown staples really tie that shelf in there good and tight. And so now it's all nailed in there, very secure. Now we're going to put the top shelf in, and then I'll show you how we space down from there. Okay, we've changed back to our 1½ 18 gauge brad nails. We're nailing in our top shelf, and the same process. We'll put 3 nails in. We make sure that we're perfectly flush with the top. We'll put 3 nails in like that. We'll change over to our stapler. And there's our top shelf all nailed in properly. Now, this is going to be the side of the panel that is going to be exposed to the garage. And it's going to show all of these nails. And I'm not going to worry about that. This is a garage storage cabinet, so I'm not going to be too concerned with the look of it from the outside. It's going to be nice and clean and white on the inside and ready for the items that we're going to store. But as far as having a finished end panel, not going to have it. So let's go ahead and get the top finish nailed in, and then I'll show you how we're going to space for our shelves. We talked about our spacers. I made 2 spacers, one 10 inch, one 12 inch. Our top 2 shelves are going to be spaced 10 inches in between. Our next 3 shelves are going to be 12 inches in between. And then our bottom shelf is the remainder, which is about 18½ inches by the time we get all done. The way we do our spacing is we just lay this over. Now I'm going to turn around here and put it on this side so you can see how that works. You can see that creates a place for me to put my shelf right up against it. Keeps my shelf straight, parallel to the top and to the floor so that my shelf is level. And it creates my 10-inch space without having to measure for each shelf. And because I have a cleat, it holds it in place for me. We're going to start from this side. This is our shelf. Our shelf is cut to the size and to the depth. Now, we're 23.5 inches wide on our shelves. We're 15.5 inches deep on our shelves. And so that every shelf in the top and the bottom were the same. And again, we put our 18 gauge 1.5" brad nail. And then I like to put one nail down at the bottom here, so I've learned how to line up. But let me show you a little trick again with our spacer. We take our spacer, turn it around, line it up with the center of our shelf, and there's our line for nailing, right there again. And it just makes it so easy to make sure that your shelf is put in correctly and that your nails go where they're supposed to. There's our 3 brad nails. Change it over again to our large crown staple. And there we are, shelf all nailed in. And then we just repeat that process as we go down. And I'm just going to have you watch as I do that. And we're going to get this all nailed together. Then we're going to flip it over and I'll show you what we do on the back side. We have completed now 3 of the shelves and we're just getting ready to nail in the rest of the 4th shelf. The top 2 shelves are 10 inches apart. We use our 10-inch spacer. The next 3 shelves will be 12 inches apart and we're using our 12-inch spacer. And so let's just go ahead and get those finished nailed in and then I'll show you how we finish up. We've rolled our cabinet over. We're getting ready to put the hanging cleats in. Now, typically a hanging cleat would be where you would put your screws in to screw the cabinet to the wall. We're using our hanging cleats mostly as a squaring mechanism to make sure that our cabinet remains square and to anchor our backs, because this is going to be a freestanding piece. We're not going to anchor it to the wall. Because of our 15-inch depth, we have plenty of stability, and so we're not going to have to worry about it. Our hang cleat is just nailed in with 1.5" 18 gauge nails, and it's nailed from the sides and from the top. Just like that. There's our hang cleat. Now we're ready for backs. We're getting ready to nail on our back. Our back is one-sided 1/4 inch white melamine on MDF. You'll notice that I don't have a full-length back. I had some pieces of 1/4 inch, and so we're going to use up some of my scrap melamine and nail our back on in pieces. I've cut it so my seams line up behind my shelves so that you will not see any of the seams. And I utilize some additional wood that I had laying around. Our back is nailed on with 1/4 inch or 1/4 inch wide small crown staples, I guess is the right way to put it. They're 3/4 of an inch long, and we square up our cabinet with our edges that we've cut. Just like that, and we'll nail it around and we'll finish nailing our other 2 backs on, and then we'll flip it over and I'll show you the installation. When I install my cabinets, I like to clamp them together along the faces so that I can have my faces be even, like that. Doing my installation, what I do is I clamp my cabinets together, making sure that my facing is flush and that my top and bottom are flush. I screw the cabinets together with 1.25 grabber screws, so we would put them, and I'm going to put them from this side, and then I'm going to put a white screw cap that is available from the hardware store over the top of the screws, and it'll be nice and clean and white on the inside, ready for my stuff to put in. So let me screw these together, and then just like that. Screw cap over the top of it, and this is what it ends up looking like. Nice and easy. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and finish up, get this put together. Well, it's all in place. Which do you think looks better, this or this? Just a little bit of work in your garage and put the things away, and it just is going to make such a difference in our garage. How nice it is to have things up on shelves and out of the way instead of this. Well, we're going to call this before and after, and we hope to see you next time with a little before and after on Woodworking with Wes.